Good morning and welcome to today's CSA Supplier Member webinar. My name is Mark Buckley and I'll be hosting today. Today we've got Arum with their webinar entitled Digital Can Transform Your Collections Function. I'll now hand you across to our presenter, Russell Robinson. Russell, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for taking the time this morning. We've got about 30 minutes to talk through some very interesting points on digital communications. I'll give you a little bit of background on Arum before I kick off. So Arum, as an organization, we are focused on a number of areas, really helping organizations and advising them around technology across the credit life cycle, around designing customer treatments, and then also around how to implement digital roadmaps and make sure you get the right outcomes from digital, which is going to be the focus of today's session. So to give you a little bit of background on myself, I've been at Arum now for 7 months. I head up the digital practice. Previously, I was co-founder of a company called Telrock, and we built out an omnichannel communications platform. I ran that business for 15 years and helped hundreds of organizations implement digital technologies for improving customer interactions and customer self-service. I then ran the digital business of FICO and EMEA for 4 years. I'm happy to be at Arum because what I get to do every day is really wake up and help a number of organizations make sure they get the best out of their digital transformation projects. And we'll be talking about a lot of that throughout the next few slides. We've pulled together the main content of today is really around a survey that we ran at Arum. There was kind of many opinions across the market, across different organizations that we met about how evolved or not they were in digital collections. So we decided to run a survey. We went out to hundreds of organizations and we got now over 50 responses from organizations where they answered over 40 questions about where they are on their digital roadmap, how evolved they are, what capability they have, what type of outcomes they're seeing. I'm going to cover a few of those today. So over on the left, you can see a number of items there. You've got the top two, which is why are people implementing digital transformation? What are the key drivers? So the top two that came through on the survey were we really want to automate and digitize customer engagements, and we want to improve customer and agent satisfaction. I think if we had done the survey 4 years ago, the answers would have been a little bit different. We probably would have seen at the top reduce impairment, reduce cost to serve, items like that. But now we're definitely seeing a shift and a recognition that if you automate and digitize and you develop the right end user or the right end user customer journeys and make sure that you're taking friction out of the customer journey, that you will get good outcomes as a result. So that's why we're seeing the top two there. Across to the right, 25% of organizations say that they're struggling to develop the digital ROI. It may be that in some cases organizations don't know their cost to collect, so it makes it difficult for them to understand what the benefits of any digital implementation might be. Other organizations have developed the digital business case. It's gone up to the board and the CFO hasn't approved the business case, and it may be because it doesn't have a strong enough ROI. It could be that the foundations or the assumptions are questioned. Over to the right, 45% of organizations say they're struggling to develop their digital roadmap. It can be that an organization has gone horizontally wide in terms of digital functions on their online banking or on their mobile app, online servicing, and they're not seeing the self-service levels that they would have expected, and they're not seeing the outcomes that they would have expected. So they're questioning, well, we've done everything that we thought we had to do on digital self-service. Why are we not getting the getting the results. And then 40% are feeling constrained by IT, which is clearly a common issue. Moving on to the next slide, a couple of data points here. So in terms of omnichannel, I'll give a quick definition of omnichannel. Omnichannel really is where, for example, I would get an outbound call from a creditor. I see the number come up on my phone. I don't recognize the number and non-geographic potentially, and I hit the red button and I decline the call. In an omnichannel world, I may then get an SMS immediately after that call saying, "Hey Russ, we just tried to call you on this number about the arrears that are on your account. Do you want us to call you back immediately, or do you want to resolve the case by replying with this option or that option?" So that's a real-time omnichannel example, and it could be that in a multi-channel world where a lot of organizations are operating, that would look very different. There would be an outbound dialing campaign. I get the call, I red button it, and that goes back into the collection system, and then I get called again in 3 days. So a clear difference there. What we found was from the survey, 48% of organizations have got multi-channel, so that's great. 52% of organizations are still running on a multi-channel basis. So we see a huge amount of opportunity there in the market. With digital I&E, or digital affordability, income and expenditure, we went out to the market. 51% of organizations have some form of digital income and expenditure supported by telephony operations, so agent assist. 6% of organizations are utilizing open banking data within that process. So open banking data, categorization of that data, and then really building out automatically the customer's disposable income, and then using that to establish or negotiate some sort of a payment plan. What we're not seeing today, which I think is a place that the market does need to move to, is the automation of moving from a digital front end, completing disposable income analysis, and then self-serving a payment plan. So I think that's where we'll be going in future years. So onto the next slide. We are all in the business of collecting payments, clearly. We spend a lot of our life trying to work out which customers can pay or won't pay. But regardless, what the survey showed us, which is in some cases is surprising given that we're in this line of businesses, that 50% of the respondents, so up to 25 organizations, have only got 1 or 2 digital payment methods that they offer. So it might be direct debit payments and card payments, for example. What we have seen is organizations that get the best performance from digital implementations may have up to 4 or 5 digital payment mechanisms. That's only 5% of the market. And they also have developed a number of different digital journeys that link through to those payment methods. I'll give you one example, which is a QR code. Could be on a paper bill. I lift up my phone, I see the QR code. It takes me straight through to my mobile banking application, and I go through normal authentication, and I make a faster banking payment powered by open banking. No plastic card required, using standard methods of authentication, and one of the best kind of customer experiences I've seen without having to type in URLs or make telephone calls and other things that prevent customers from making quick and easy payments. One organization that we work with, where they've implemented open banking driven payments, has now seen 30% of their card payments traffic has moved across to open banking. One more to the right, in terms of chatbots, so the green bars, there's a lot of talk about chatbots, or chat about chatbots, in terms of, they're very popular. Lots of organizations, want to implement one. Lots of organizations have implemented one. In fact, 35% of the market state that they have a chatbot. The quality of that chatbot is then another question, and what does it actually do? So in the survey, we said, does your chatbot do things like authenticate the customer? Can it take a payment? Can it set up a payment plan? Can it signpost to debt advice if it identifies some form of vulnerability issue with the customer automatically? And in 80% of the answers were no. So what we see from that is that the vast majority of organizations that have a chatbot, it's really, I guess, not to offend anyone, it's more of a glorified FAQ. And in many cases, there is a chatbot that's being used to triage customer interactions and then bring them into the operation, where telephony operations is then using a chat UI to manually interact with thousands of customers over messaging. The issue that we found with that is agents are being kind of a lot of demand on agents. They're being expected to handle up to 10 different chats at the same time. And two problems with that: when you're overwhelmed with multiple chat conversations, like I think we probably all are at work these days, the quality of the outcomes can reduce. So that's one area. The other area is from a consumer expectation. We're all conditioned to get messages immediately back from messaging channels, right? We message our friends and family. Most of the time we expect a quick response. If you are interacting online or through a chatbot and you send a message and you're waiting for the agent to reply to you because they're having other chats, that isn't a particularly great customer experience, doesn't meet customer expectations. So big area of development around chatbots, around autonomous chatbots and intelligent chatbots that can also identify vulnerability. We've spoken to over 30 organizations that responded to this survey, and the vast majority of them do have that on their roadmap. So there's definitely a move from the market in that direction. On to the next slide. We have, again, back to the omnichannel topic. Omnichannel doesn't mean just digital channels. It also means integrating operations, telephony operations, human operations with the digital channels as well. I should be able to, as a customer, be able to interact on digital channels. If I have an issue with that particular interaction that I'm going through, or it's identified that I need to talk to an agent, ideally I can then connect through to an agent, have a conversation with the agent, and that agent can see what I've just done on digital channels without me having to kind of go through the whole explanation of how I got there. Unfortunately, only 20% of organizations have said that agents can see what happens on digital channels in real time. Many are still operating from batch file integrations, which is really kind of hampering that omnichannel experience. From a messaging perspective, we asked the responders around what messaging channels do they use. We covered one-way SMS, desktop browser, automated telephony, mobile app, agent web chat, number of different interactive channels that you can offer customers in collections. One-way SMS is still the winner at the top of the list in terms of volume. What we did see though is more collections customer journeys being built into online servicing, also into mobile apps, which is great, because personally I've been advocating this for well over a decade, and what we did see, or what we have found out from organizations that have put collections customer journeys in their online servicing and mobile app, not as a separate kind of portal, but actually within their existing servicing, they've seen really great results off the back of that in terms of collections outcomes and self-service levels. From a messaging perspective, WhatsApp is rising through the ranks very quickly. We are seeing some interesting customer journeys that are being developed on WhatsApp, utilizing the quick reply functions, utilizing the ability to send documents within WhatsApp and make the dialogue a little bit more formal, which we've got data on the fact that if you make those conversations a bit more formal, include documents such as invoices or statements, that does actually improve the customer response rate. Onto the channels in a bit more detail. So from the survey, we found that the market average is 2.8 channels that are implemented for digital collections. As an example, that might mean an organisation has two-way SMS, a web servicing for collections, and two-way email that may or may not be automated. We found a direct correlation between the number of channels that are being used by organizations, digital channels, and the levels of self-service. So when organizations had a level of self-service that was, e.g., plus 50, 60%, they can be using up to 5 or 6 different digital channels. Certainly from the leaders of the pack, where they're up to self-service levels of 80, 90%, we saw up to eight different digital channels being offered to consumers to resolve their payment issues. 75% of organizations have reported that the dialer will contact customers when they've already resolved an issue on digital channels. So clearly that's an issue. For example, I've made a promise to pay, or I've made a payment, set up a plan, but I still receive a call from the dialer. I answer that call, get put through to an agent that doesn't know that I've done that on digital channels. So there's still a bit of a disjoint, and that's where Omnichannel can really help kind of bridge that gap. 65, very closely related, 65% of organizations report they use batch file to integrate their collection system to their digital communications platform. Pleasingly, and there are a few very good examples of this in the market, 30% of organizations have reported using AI or ML to improve their digital contact outcomes. So to give you an example of that, it may be that I'm a customer of an energy supplier, financial services organization, and I use WhatsApp as my primary means of account management, either submitting my meter readings, getting information on my bills, getting my credit card balance. I'm a heavy WhatsApp user. I run into some financial difficulty. I go into 1 day past due, 2 days past due. The collections organization pounds me with the dialer, but I am a WhatsApp customer. So it's good to see the use of models and insights around customer behavior as customers go into collections and utilizing things like channel, tonality, time of day, cadence of messaging, digital options. The list goes on in terms of being smarter about how we communicate with customers when they're in arrears to help them resolve their financial difficulties and elicit a response. Then moving on to the last one, 46% of organizations believe that the communication platform that's used in the collections line of business should be the same platform that's used for the rest of the customer life cycle. I think that relates closely to my last point, and the question there is, do you need a communication platform across the organization to do that, or does it come down to how you manage and utilize the data and have that as a central service that different technology platforms can access? But certainly from an Arum perspective, we're helping more than one organization with their roadmap around how they create that common technology platform for communications. Out of the survey, what we've created, coming on to benchmarking now, is a list of what you can see here, which is 18 different measures, which looks at all the answers that we got from the survey in all these different areas. And then what we've plotted out here is the orange dot is the market average across the different industries. So you can see the market average on self-service. You can see the market average on the market's understanding of digital platform providers and the support that they might get from their digital providers, the market average on messaging channels. I'll give you an example on point 7. Over the left side of the scale, you're going to be running 1 to 3 messaging channels. Over to the right, you'll be running 8 messaging channels. And what we've done is built out this market average, but with over 20 of the organizations that completed the survey, we've then completed free of charge a custom benchmarking exercise, which on this example is the light blue dot, and the organizations in question can then see where they land in terms of their digital evolution. And typically what comes out of those conversations is, if you would like to move your self-service to the right, we recommend to work on points 3, 4 and 9, and here are some examples around considerations in those areas. I'll come on to it at the end, but what we're offering kind of everyone on this meeting is the opportunity to spend 15 minutes of your time and enter our survey. There are about 40 questions, and off the back of that, you'll get a free copy of the report that we wrote, which is 30 pages, all around digital collections, and we will also offer to complete custom benchmarking for you too. At this point, I've done a lot of talking and need another sip of water, but what we'd like to do is ask you to submit some questions via the chat tool if you have any from the slides that I've previously gone through. I'll give you sort of 30 seconds or so to put those into the messaging feature on the platform, and then I'll answer some questions, and we'll be nearing the end of the session. So please don't be shy. If anything's on your mind, feel free, and I'll do my best to answer now.
We have had a couple in already, Russell. Couple asking about how to get in touch with you post this call, or post this webinar. Sorry. Obviously, you'll do that towards the end.
We've got a few through already.
Yeah. Do you want me to read them out to you, Russell?
Mark, do you want to ask any of the questions that come through?
Yeah, I will do. First one that we've got here, and sorry if I'm phrasing this wrong. We have heard that implementing two-way messaging.
No. So we've got 3 questions so far, which is great. We've got about 10 minutes left. So one question is, we have heard that implementing two-way messaging can create increased demand and demand peaks on telephony operations. What is your experience? So this is a really common, I'm going to call it problem because it is, that organizations have in many cases rushed or wanted to hit deliverables and implement two-way messaging. It may be that they are implementing two-way messaging on SMS or on WhatsApp. There's a few examples where organizations have implemented two-way messaging within their mobile app. Now, what we've seen is where they've implemented that messaging, in many cases there hasn't been an automated system behind that. So, or there might be automation in the early part of the conversation, which you can call chat fronting, but in this case, the messages come through and telephony operations are answering those messages. So in that case, I think that it can create more demand. The answer to resolving that is that the organization should look to kind of automate first and make sure that they get automation within the front of the journey, have automation for more of the questions that might come through, and then that will not increase the demand on telephony operations because you've really automated the system. Moving on to question 2. So we've had issues with uptake on open banking for INE. What is your experience with with adoption. So this is a question that has many different aspects to it. I think there's a kind of real three pillars, which is to human operations, income and expenditure. There's digital agent assisted, and then you also have digital agent assisted and open banking data, CRA data, and in many cases, full self-service. We've seen varying results in terms of the value exchange with consumers or customers, and very much the digital journeys around getting those customers to the I&E process and how it's sold to them, for want of a better word. We've seen more adoption levels where there's been a good digital journey around the value of it, around telephony operations, being able to explain the value. But in many cases, we see 20 to 30%, in some cases up to 50% adoption through digital I&E. We've only got a few minutes left, so I'm going to answer one more question, which is we are thinking about looking at open banking payments. Are consumers ready to adopt? I covered this briefly earlier on. They are ready to adopt. In the UK, where we've seen this implemented in the right way, already 30% of customers that were previously not paying or paying by debit card have now moved across to make open banking payments, and they're repeatedly doing that on each billing cycle. Right, we are close to the end of the session. Thank you for your questions. I'm gonna wrap up now around a quick overview. I mean, I've talked about Arum and what we do, focusing specifically on digital. My team really help organizations in terms of digital assessment and benchmarking, understanding where you are, building out the business case for development, building out the ROI for digital, building out digital roadmaps, digital customer journey design and optimization. We help a lot of organizations look at the market and select the right digital platform, look at the right vendor, and then also we help organizations implement digital quickly. As I covered earlier on, here is a link to the survey. If you have 15 minutes free to contribute to this, you'll get a free copy of our 30-page report. You can also contact me directly if you've got any questions relating to today's presentation. Thanks again for your time this morning.
Thank you, Russell. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I couldn't then, but hopefully battled through and.
No, well, there's a couple of questions that we've not been able to address, but what we'll do is we'll get them across to you, and with the answer, when we put this on our website, we will put the answers alongside that as well and communicate the answers to the questions that we've not been able to cover today. So all I'm just going to do is just thank you for today, Russell. I'd like to remind everyone that today's webinar will be listed on the CSA website from tomorrow if you'd like to listen to it again or recommend it to any colleagues who couldn't make it today. Also, before you go, we greatly appreciate it if you could take a few seconds just to give a little bit of feedback in the relevant area provided. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for your time today. Goodbye and have a good day.
Goodbye.
Bye now.